Richard Marles is the federal member for Corio, which covers Alcoa. He's being interviewed on Melbourne local radio. Let's have a listen.
He's a very good fellow. No one knows him as Brad. We all know him as Jabba.
As in Jabba the Hutt?
I don't know whether it's Jabba the Hutt. I don't know what it is. We just all know him as Jabba, and actually gave Jabba a ring last night to see how he was faring. And as you know, I mean, Jabba's a good friend, and he's told you his story. He's got a lot of issues that he's facing at home, and he's quite right. The sort of war stories that he's got are being shared by a number of the workers at Alcoa, and your heart just goes out to what they're facing today and the uncertainty of their future. But I'd also say, when I spoke to Jabba last night, he was remarkably positive, as I think you saw in that interview then, about working with the company through this review to see whether there can be a future discerned for Alcoa going into the future. Because there's no doubt, as was indicated in the questions that you're asking, Alcoa is at the economic heart of Geelong.
Sure, this is a snapshot of the challenges facing the entire Australian economy. This is the litmus test, almost, isn't it?
Well, I think it is a snapshot, but I think it's more pertinent in a place like Geelong. Geelong is an industrial city, and like Jabba, I actually do think that there is a future for manufacturing in Geelong. But with the value of the Australian dollar,
a heavily subsidised future only, though.
I'm not sure that's right, but I think, and I think the answer to that question actually is we need to be investing in high tech manufacturing, and aluminium manufacturing is that, as is car manufacturing. But I think we need to be looking at the high end manufacturing in the future. But I do, I really hope that there is a future for Alcoa, and I hope that there's a future for Ford, and we're as a government
hoping's
doing
not enough, Richard Marles. The government can't rely on hope. What are you going to actually provide?
And we're not relying on hope, but hope's important as well. But we're also doing a lot in working with those industries to see how we can make a future for them. And you saw that in the announcements that we made in relation to Ford over January to secure their future through till 2016. And in relation to Alcoa, we will obviously be working very closely with the company as it conducts its review. And we'll be making sure that there is no stone left unturned to find out what possibilities there are to make sure that Alcoa is a part of the future of Geelong, because it's been a critical part of the past of Geelong over the last few decades. It is an economic centre in Geelong. It's not just the 600 people who work in the smelter in Geelong, it's all those who contract to that smelter, and as Jabba put it, it's the money that the workers there spend in the milk bars of Corio and the shops of Corio. So it is an economic centre, and we've got to do everything we can to try and save it.
So here's how it works. You have a mining boom, you tax the miners, some of the money you get from there you use to subsidise jobs in other sectors, but can you do that into perpetuity?
Well, there is a patchwork economy, which is, I guess, what's inherent in the question that you've asked, and we are doing what we can to try and deal with that, which is in stark contrast to what the opposition's doing, which is essentially finding the nearest sandpit and plunging their head into it. But we have put in place the minerals resource rent tax, which will see a reduction in company tax, and that is a reduction in company tax in perpetuity. So we are looking at those structural adjustments to the economy to try and deal with the patchwork nature of our economy. But we are also a Labor government, and we're a government which is incredibly supportive of jobs, and we're a government which believes in manufacturing and which believes in industry, and that's a fundamental difference to the opposition. And no doubt you'll be asking those questions of Joe Hockey when you speak to him in a moment.
I certainly will, but I also need to ask you about that.
No, but let me say this, John. The opposition stand for cutting $1.5 billion out of the car industry support plan that we put in place.